What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Joy of Animating. I am your host and friend Skip Marazzi, here to do a behind-the-scenes podcast for Cox in Space. I know that I told you in previous episodes that it was going to be the end of these very special animation series. That's something that we're not that wasn't fully. I mean, it was true. I said it when I said it, it was true. I did intend for that to be the truth, and we have released the first and second episode bits for a preview. I'm not exactly sure how to call them, but we released those bits. Um, on a number of platforms, but the main one you can check it out is coxinspace.com. That's coxinspace.com. That has the entire portion of the video that we were working on up to this point, from the introduction of the gravity well up to Chloe's song, which is kind of the goal. But as that got released, and as I was thinking about, everything that we have out and available, I began to realize that we don't really have the full story of what's happening on Pussy Paradise. And actually, it's continued in this next series of shots that we have. And so I thought, I went to go cancel the my subscription to Premiere and found out that they'd already charged me for this month and it was going to continue until the 22nd of August. So I figured, what the hell? I'll try to, if I can, get the very next section into that trailer and get that into the clip we have all together. Because this next section is where Luna's character breaks down what is happening with on Pussy Paradise, and how their sadness has brought them into the gravity well. And I figured, if people are trying to figure out what's happening on Pussy Paradise and the trouble on Pussy Paradise, that it's a nice place to stop. Really, I got so fixated on the goal of getting to and through Luna's song that I didn't step back and consider the whole thing. Like what the story arc was, which is silly of me because that's the reason I have a story calculator. But it is also the reason I have a story calculator because I don't think naturally in terms of those things. I will generally consider all the information that I know, but not necessarily what's being presented to the audience. So we do have the story arc available. It is something you can that the audience can know about. So I figured all I have to do is get this little final bit of animation onto that trailer, and then coxinspace.com will have the full setup for this episode, um, and people can evaluate the story based off of that without too much guesswork. Um, so yeah, I'm going to try to do a long bit if I can today. I have a few hours available before the cats need to be fed, and I need to get to yoga class this afternoon. I got my hike in today, and feeling fresh and fancy free. Got the shopping done that I needed to do for the week. So, yeah, that's what we're looking at, is just trying to get this little bit done, which means I need to come back in here, um, pull out the individual characters that I need to pull out, and then um, present that to all of you. Um, it may or may not come together. We'll see. I do have a deadline now. It's about a month, about 3 weeks to get this done. But I figure if I put in a hearty amount of time today and over the next couple of days, I should be able to do it. Um, as you can see, this is the panels that we're looking at. This is all. This is the whole thing. Um, is her, um, coming to talk to him, coming to share the story here, um, then his response. So I don't think I'm concerned so much with the presentation of her coming back out, but I will be. She'll tell this story as she goes around here, and then we'll probably have maybe this. I'll probably use this in this thing again. Um, so We'll see. We'll see if I have it. I might not have enough. I might not have enough information to do all these things, but um, you know, it is what we got going on. So yeah, thank you for tuning back in. I think I mentioned that I'm Skip Marazi, and this is Behind the Scenes podcast, and you should check out coxinspace.com. When you're checking that out up there, you can go check out the merchandise we have available, and get yourself some. That would help the funding of this show, as we are doing a big push for, we're doing a big promotional push on the different channels so that people will see it. It's on Facebook and Instagram and Threads and TikTok. Since YouTube, the one that I was hoping to release it on the platform, they're completely shutting this down. They do not want to see Cox in Space on their platform at all because of its content, which is fair. It's not as family friendly um, as they're trying to do these days. So that's a thing. But do check it out on TikTok. We do have there's 10,000 views on TikTok right now. Um, at the time of this conversation, so that's exciting for us. I don't see a whole lot of organic shares happening from there, but it has been presented and seen by 10,000 people, or 10,000 viewers rather. So that is an encouraging moment to have, um, and we are going to be pitching it. We are pitching it harder to. We are pitching it hard to a couple of studios that we're interested in working with, and we hope that they're interested in working with us. One of them is Fontaine, I think is how you say it. The ones who produced BoJack Horseman. I'm a big fan of that show, and the art style, and the concept of it, and what it seems like their studio is about, which is about putting creative work forward, and less generic type of art. Um, we are interested in contacting and working with Mike Judge also, who does King of the Hill and of course Beavis and Butthead and you know Office Space, uh, the Idiocracy. Mike Judge is a very brilliant dude, and I appreciate his art and stylings. I'm not sure if he's going to be down to produce it, but it would be nice to be considered by him, as well as Dan Harmon, who Rick and Morty and so many other things at this point, who is a producer of so many things, and focuses on the writing as well, and who I've mentioned a number of times, the Family Guy, among so many other things, Seth MacFarlane. Um, and so, yeah, those are the studios that we're looking to pitch to collaborate with, and by collaborate with, I mean hopefully that they will be stepping up to produce and find producers for Cox in Space, as well as distribution platforms and all that. Seeing as we have a concept, and we're creative people, who have worked hard on an idea, but we're not highly connected to the world of entertainment, which uh, in the world of the internet is not so dire as it may seem, in my opinion. But that's still a thing that has to be considered. Um, so we are in so many ways asking for somebody to give us a shot, to take a chance on us as a show, and see where we can go with it. We think that we have something that is, and I'm sure so many creators feel it that way too. They feel like they've got something worth showing, but I feel like we definitely have a product that is ready to sell, and or it's ready to get started, to go into production, as we've done a lot of the pre-production already, getting the work done for it. Um, so you can always help us out too, liking, sharing, commenting on the video that exists on TikTok. That would help us out a lot to show, that it is a show that people want to see. So if you are interested in helping us out, that way you absolutely can. Welcome to the people who are watching. Glad to have you aboard for this. Give us a comment down below so we know where you're coming from, how you tune it in, what you're seeing, um, what you're interested in. Uh, glad to have you aboard. So yeah, this is like I said, this is the project is done as far as I'm concerned. We're in the pitching and getting ready to get more attention to it and go into production for the show. But I figured we may as well do ourselves a favor and get the whole story, the whole opening story in before the major change, what happens to Peter and how the adventure unfolds the rest of the way. That's going to be going up on our website, Cox and Space. The extra piece here that I'm working on is going to go up on that trailer there. So I'm not going to release it independently or do any other big push probably with the other things. I think that what we've got right now is working really well, and we can continue to promote those. But then also, I feel like it probably just needed that little bit, or at least since I had the time. I have the time now. And for me, in a lot of ways, like I think I was mentioning this, like I just didn't know what I was going to do next, and so it's given me a little reprieve um, of to do something that's still along the same lines of what I was doing before, so I don't have to do like a full change right away. Um, with the brain, the way that my brain works, I'm not a huge fan of things changing in general. I prefer if everything stayed relatively consistent. Although change is inevitable, except for from vending machines, as they say. So um, it's accepting it, but with a gradient, and having it be a part, you know, that it's accepting it just a little bit at a time. But yeah. So shoot. So yeah, I'm excited to. I've been rewatching BoJack Horseman recently, and I'm excited to do some of the things I've been seeing that they're capable of doing on that show. I have been noticing, when I first watched the show when it first came out ish, I wasn't into animation, so there's a lot of stuff I was just absorbing, like the story, since that's more what I'd focus on in the characters, and since that was more of the stuff I was focusing on. Um, but now I'm noticing how the animation is working, and I think it's really cool because um, you can see how they built 3D models because they do things like turn their heads and look at the cameras and do circles and stuff, which is really really fun. But then also they've done it and they've flattened it into two-dimensional animation style, which the more I've seen it, the more I'm like, yeah, that's 100% what I'm wanting to do. The style of the show too. So that's exciting to see and to watch, and so that's what got me thinking about working with Shadow Machine and the studio that put out BoJack Horseman. Now they're also in production with other shows right now. I think that Raphael Bob Wanisker, who's the writer of wow, of BoJack Horseman. He's working on another show right now that they're producing, but also the company that they work with does a lot of shows. And they look like they collaborate with a lot of people. So that is one of the things I'm excited to see happen with that. I think one of the things I need to do is open this up here. So yeah, this is going to be, like I said, I'm going to go probably. I'm trying to go for the 4 hour mark today. So feel free to pop in and pop out as you want to. It's going to be a little while that I'll be up here today. But also, if you do want to come and chat, you can always go to coxinspace.com, click on the Discord link on the bottom, and then come join the conversation, and we can hang out while this is happening. So. Um, So I realized the only thing that's missing from the trailer that I put out recently is I forgot to credit Tracy Yaste in the full trailer, in the full look up on the website, we actually use the initial clip that I hadn't used in the one that we're doing the big push on, and she's the voice of Chloe. So I'll need to do that in the second one as I go through here. Um, oh, why did I put that there? Oh well. So, because she did the voice of Chloe for us, you hear the warning that she gives out in there, and so credit to her for doing the voices. And I think I might do the like a whole just a list of who all the characters are played by, and the voices, since that's for everybody to get credit for. So I'll make sure that I put that in like a character plate. Um, and like the other thing I was realizing is that neither Aaron or I got credit for doing the voices for Peter and Richard also. So I don't think that was necessary to do. That was my thought. Is that it wasn't necessary to do. But you know, um, since we are running credits, I should run the credit for it. I also didn't list that I did the animation because I you can see that I've done the animation, uh, but do it like this. But yeah, I did give credit to Wigwags as a company for putting that out. Um, but because that's kind of like the talent management uh, umbrella for this product. So um, I just didn't want to, and I had this conversation with Aaron. I just don't like the look of when you have like the same person credited on so many different things. Um, I just don't like the look of it. It looks super cheesy in my opinion, when it's like written by, music composed by, cinematography by, and it's all the same person. And you're like, dude, like, why don't you just be like so and so such and such production? Like they handled everything. Um, Also, generally, when you see that, you're looking at something that has not had a lot of peer review, and so it's not always true, but there are often that you're going to watch something that the person didn't want to take any pointers from anybody else, and so it's mostly shit. So, um, and that's not always true, but it can be true. So um, anyway, that those are thoughts. Those are thoughts that I have on that. Um, I'm gonna have to. mm, if I edit this one, I'm going to. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do it here. So it's saved as its own. I should have done that second, but that's all right. Yeah. So I did get hiking today. Also planning to go to yoga later. So I didn't go for an extra super long hike, but I posted some photos to Facebook if anyone's looking to see those. Got a couple of cool ones. One of them is a spider eating a bug that it caught. Uh, I don't know why I had to clarify that it caught it. Of course it caught it. Um, but yeah, it's like winding up and munching on this bug. Uh, and I wanted to get a video of it, but I settled for this photo that I thought was pretty cool. So yeah, guys, I mean, I'm really excited about this next phase of the project. It's a lot of unknown variables, um, but to me, that's like the exciting thing. Again, I think I've mentioned this a bunch of times, but Sagittarian rising sign. So I like a lot of variables. I like unknown adventures. I like going into places that are unexpected. Uh, I get really bored doing the same thing all the time, which is why regular jobs for me have been always just such a drag. Uh, I love getting a new job and I love learning everything that needs to be done at that job. And then about, I don't know, 3 months in, 4 months in, I'm like, oh, this is it. We just do the same thing all the time. That's why for me working as a bike mechanic was really fulfilling, because it was the same thing all the time, but the bike was always different than one you'd seen before, um, and so that was pretty all right. Um, you never really knew what you were going to get to be doing that day. Um, so that was always a nice addition for me. Um, a nice difference for me to be able to do that. You had to solve problems, fresh problems. Um, Whatever walked in, you know what I mean, is the problem you had to solve. Um, and that's the sort of work that like I really thrive in is, um, what is happening today? How is it different than yesterday? What is new about the situation? Like all those sorts of things. So that's why creative work is so good for my brain. Or, I think that I'm pretty well qualified for creative work, is because we get to make up the problems and then find the solutions. Especially when you're like writing fiction, is you try to, in a lot of ways, you try to paint your characters into a corner and then figure out how they're going to get out of it. And I've always, that to me is just really, really fun and super fulfilling, because you're the one who created the problem, but you don't necessarily know what the solution is yet. Or, you can see that there needs to be a solution. So you set up the problem so that the two can exist together. Ooh, that was bad. And so for me, yeah, that's why I enjoy doing creative work. Um, when when I was making characters and stuff like that too, that's the thing is that especially with improv, when you make a character, um, like on the fly, you don't really know what they're going to be going up against or what the situation is that they were going to be facing, and so it was always really fun just to see what other people would throw at them, what the situation would be, and then watching the character, a grounded character respond to the situation, and that was a big difference for me between improv and acting. They're a lot of the same muscles in a lot of ways. I mean, you build it, build a character and live in it. But for me, acting, once you've done the show a couple of times, there's it's if you're finding new things in it, you're often creating a different show, and that's not always fun for the other performers around you. And the director, they want to have something that's predictable. They want to have something that that you have all rehearsed. those sorts of things. And I get that. I don't argue with that. The director has a specific vision that they have and want for the show, and that's the reason that you guys are heard so much. But again, after the first couple performances, when you have everything worked out, it does have a tendency to get kind of like the same, where you can almost check out and still do the exact same performance that you've done before. Um, and so, and that's the thing too for me, of why, like I play the guitar and I enjoy playing the guitar, but I've always been like kind of like, like I don't know if I want to like do this where you play the same set, every time, um, because in a lot of ways it's exactly the same show. You're just in a different location, and you're just presenting the same information that you did before, and so uh, making up new content all the time is kind of where my brain really thrives. You know, I know that's different than a lot of people. I know that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the other way of doing it. Um, you know, because people like to have um, that security and that safety. Again, there's a particular goal that they go for. There is a reason to do a show the same way, so you can deliver the experience that people want. The same. Once for instance, like a song goes out on the radio, you want to perform that song exactly the way that it was on the radio, because that's what people came expecting to hear. And so it's not super fair to take that experience away from them. And I get that. So, you know, um, actually, one time I was at an Ingrid Michaelson show, um, one of the few shows I've been at, actually, um, because she was popular at the time, and the girlfriend I was dating, the woman I was dating at the time, she had gotten tickets, or she wanted to go see her, something like that. And she was coming through where we were in Chicago. I think that she got that chance to go see her. Um, and she cracked a joke in the middle of like the sweater song, because she had shared the story about how um, she had taken off her sweater at a show, and somebody had stolen it from the stage. Um, and so she cracked a joke while she was singing the song, which is cool, right? Like that's like a cool thing to do in the middle of a set, like let people know that, hey, this is a live performance, right? It's not, you're not listening to the radio. Um, but like for all the people who were singing along, they were a little like thrown off about it, and so Ingrid, of course, apologized for throwing off the vibe by cracking a joke. Um, because it's not what the experience that they had signed up for. And so that's super interesting. That's I get that. That is how you kind of need to be, um, if you're gonna do something like that. So um, yeah, and so yeah, I'm not saying that there's a good or a bad with that. Just that it does exist is the main thing, that I'm pointing out. And for me, that's just such a tough way to be. Uh, I I enjoy uh, thinking. I enjoy taking on new problems. I enjoy engaging the gray matter on things. And so yeah, I'm just not, in a lot of ways, I'm just not cut out for the factory um, life that is most of American capitalism. Um, and again, not good or bad. I think a lot of people enjoy the safety of doing the same thing over again, and I know that. it's necessary to do that. That it's not a requirement of your job to challenge you, you know, and that sort of stuff. And that's that is what it is. Um, but you know, my brain's just not wired like that, and I'm very curious, and always looking to see what else, Um, so. Uh, I have had jobs where I traveled a lot, where I did a lot of driving to place, and that was always really cool because it was always a little bit different every day. I think that having a job is like, say, like a teacher would probably be super fulfilling for me because every day is a little bit different. Interacting with people. Anytime that I was a waiter, that I've served as a waiter or a counter attendant or whatever, um, dealing with the public facing basically has always been a really fulfilling job for me. Um, and for that, it's just that it's you may clock in for the 8 hours or whatever, but um, like it's always going to be it's always going to be a little bit different than it was yesterday. Monotony is something that I don't find secure in it, as a lot of people do. Um, I guess it seems like a lot of people do. A lot of people like to seems like a lot of people like to have their same schedule. They want to set it and then just go along with it. But um, I've done that. I've done that, and it is by and large not very fulfilling to me. Or I realize is I probably need to fill in this background so she can move here. Um, and with that lighting, it might be difficult, but um, and same thing with the floor. But hopefully, I mean, it's not gonna be as time consuming as the lounge set that we did. There's a lot less of her in these frames, for one. So, but yeah, yeah. Um, that's why I keep pushing towards, and continue to work on projects, because I want the next 30 or 40 years of my life to have that element to it that is just real fulfilling. There's the ability to work hard and make money from creative endeavors, where problem solving is the main thing that I deal with, and not just earning a paycheck by showing up to a job that I feel most people could do. I do want to be doing a job that is unique, um, to me and my skill set. Um, I guess that's really what anybody wants, but that's why I haven't given up, and that's why I've continued to work on Cox in Space. Like I do really believe in it as a project, and then also, um, you know, getting the people together to do it and to solve it is just one of those things that I'm just like, yes, you know. Uh, I love to see things come together. I love to see people work together on things, and I don't know why I'm making these yawns. It's like I'm panicking or something. But got a good night's sleep. Got fully rested. I'm not hungry. Um, you know, and all those things. So, um, anyway, that further, and maybe this is, it's self-evaluation, so you have to take it for what it is. But I am really good at it. I'm really good at problem solving, collaboration, um, finding solutions that don't seem to solve problems that don't seem to have solutions. To be able to like stick with a task until it gets done, even without encouragement or support. Um, you know, So I think that those are the skills that you need to do things. I have a good sense of aesthetics of things that look good and what doesn't look good, even if it's my own work. Uh, but not so much that like it's like self-destructive. So uh, and then I like to see others succeed too. So I like to see the ideas that other people have that they can put into it, um, and then see what we can get out of a situation collectively. So um, those are all the things for me that I think work really well um, with and in for. I did get signed to an agency last night, a local one, who seems to they've been around for a while, and they seem to be doing a lot of local work, mainly not leading or supporting characters, but mainly day players and week players and stuff like that. Uh, so I'm hoping to see some payout from that, which would be cool. We'll see what happens. A lot of people I know here work with them, and they seem to be well connected. So they've been in the area again for a while. So that's a big thing. Having that. No, I had the wrong one. I was using the wrong one. No, no. I have to do that all again. Okay. All right. So, yeah. I don't think I mentioned about how so I've been sharing how I've been meditating using Psalms 23 as a meditation, um, in the practical sense of like a walking meditation. That whenever I have my brain is like not occupied with a task, that instead of letting it run rampant on all the thoughts that it has, which were turning out to be not great, and were putting me in just like a not great mood constantly. Um, because of all the things that I was thinking of, and I've gone over, I've talked with y'all about the pattern seeking habits of the brain, and how when you ruminate on things, the brain begins to look for evidence of those things. So if you start to fall into a negative headspace, where you're being self-deprecating, or looking at society as a whole and disliking members of society or all of society, then it can sort of like spiral into this big problem, because then the brain starts to look for all the reasons that people and the world at large is wrong, evil, whatever. Um, Religious people fall into this problem a lot, you know, because they think about how superior they are to everyone else, or the sins of the world or whatever. And so all they can begin to see is the faults of other people and the sins of the world and whatnot. Um, and they don't begin to look for other things generally. But anyway, um, Psalms 23 I've been using because it's just such a nice reminder of that we're not in control of the world around us. That that it acts as a shepherd towards us, and that we're just a small little thing that really needs to be cared for. But then also that the world itself, the universe around us, is providing the things that we need if we just keep our eyes open for it. Um, and it causes us to rest. And that the purpose of that rest is for the benefit of the growth of our soul. The essence of life that is surrounding us all the time, right? Um, and the spirit that we've inherited from the universe. And so how great that is. And then it reminds you too that even when you're in trouble, like you don't have to worry because you're still surrounded by this very benevolent universe. And even if, when it doesn't feel like that, and even when you're directly opposed, that is even for continual growth of your soul. And if you were here with the first time I recited it, you may have noticed that I missed two lines. And I'm not sure why I'd missed those two lines, but I kept having this reminder of this cup overflowing, and I was like, "What verse is that?" And then I looked it up, and I was like, "Oh, right, it's the two lines that are in this poem." Um, and I just thought it was cool because the idea that I was sharing about how when you have enemies and you're being faced by enemies, that this idea that we don't have to be afraid, because we're already protected, and that like even that's for our good. But the two lines are that um, your head's anointed with oil and your cup's overflowing, and then it follows with surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. And just like how cool it was, because I've been thinking about that a lot more now. That's been kind of one of the thoughts as a poem comes back around and around, that keeps recurring to me, is that even when we are directly opposed by trouble on all sides, that is for our growth as well, the growth of our soul as well, and in that we're being given an opportunity to be honored in a way that's like so far beyond what we were even expecting. Um, and that really comes from, again, this understanding that the universe is protecting us, right? Like that, that there is a benevolent force that is running things, and even when it doesn't feel like it, that it's still giving us everything we need. Um, and it's an opportunity to recognize that even our opposition isn't bad, right? It's just a force of that same universe that is looking out for us. And I know that's real hard in a lot of ways. The thing that's coming up the most right now in my mind is the way that Zionists are oppressing people in Gaza right now, and killing babies deliberately and intentionally, children and women and children. Intentionally, they're murdering citizens because they claim that land is theirs. And how in Ukraine, there was a quote that I think it was like, what do you expect to be when you grow up? Maybe this is from Gaza, but a child was like, well, we don't expect to grow up you know. So to say that there's a benevolent force, I know it's really hard to see right there. Um, and it's hard to see, in the instance of like when lightning strikes in a forest and it burns up a large portion of the forest and a lot of animals die, and the forest gets burned up, that has any like but beneficial like properties to it. And the same thing, you could look at American culture right now and be like, we're being heavily oppressed by a fascist dictator, who's only looking to enrich themselves, as he's made $42 billion extra off his presidency. He's clearly working for the Russians. He's clearly a Russian plant. I don't know about a plant, but he is either being blackmailed or has been used by the Russians to weaken America, their main enemy, and to get to get us off of the international stage, which is happening, um, which is happening. Um, so it's hard to see in the light of all of that, like the things are good and that are beneficial. But I would just remind you that like we don't know the full extent of the story right now. And we don't know where it's going. And also that it does provide opportunities for heroes like Luigi, like Alex, like Miss Good, uh, to take a stand against it, and to demonstrate that humans still are have the capacity to be good in the face of evil and hard times. And so I it's been good to like focus on that because it can be really really discouraging, right? It can be really really discouraging to look at the world around you and to be beaten down by it. It can be really really discouraging. Um, but that is the cool thing about. Yeah, that's what I thought. Um, I forget what the sizes are. 16 by 9. Okay. This is the one I actually want. 1920 by 1080. But when you're looking at those things, just remember that it that our brains are pattern seeking, right? Um, that when you focus on the evil, you begin to only see evil, and the encouragement is to then change the perspective to be focusing on the good, even in the light of the evil, and so that you can begin to see the good that does exist. Um, and I know that's hard. I know it's hard. I'm not saying deny the evidence of things that are bad, because we need to look at how we have a police state rising, a fascist police state rising in America, and how we're being surveilled against our will and against our freedoms, and the powers that be are using that to hurt and molest innocent people and kill innocent people. Um, and that unless we do something about that, it's only going to get worse. I'm not saying to deny those things, but I am saying that in the spite of that, in the final lines of the poem are, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies, anointed my head with oil and my cup overflowing. It's like this recognition that even when we have evil surrounding us, and even when there's there's opposition on every side, that it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity that we're being presented with an opportunity to demonstrate the goodness of the reality that we are a part of, and that and that that works in and through us too. I don't know why this seems to be getting louder, but there we go. That was not the one I wanted. And so, that to me is the thing that's encouraging, because it's like it's not denying it, right? It's not denying that we're going to go through times that it feels like we're dying, and literally times where humans are getting killed. It doesn't deny that. It doesn't say to just put your head in the sand and be like, it's going to be good, it's going to be good, it's going to be good. It says that even when things are bad, we recognize that there is the force of nature and the universe that is inherently good and loving, and that will be a thing that will prevail over the selfishness, the unkindness, the greed, the stupidity of people, and so of those things. That is as much of a part of the force that is everything as good is. So I don't like that she's not wearing shoes. It really bothers me that she doesn't have her shoes on. And I might put those the back on from another one, but also her nose isn't pink and her eyes aren't green. Um, so is there one where that's the case? Um, not sure. Not sure. Okay. I do need to, I'm gonna. Do need to take her jaw out so she can talk, but I'm gonna save that for another step when we get there. Um, need to get this one because I need to get Richard out of this bubble. I'm sorry. I know we kind of rushed this panel. I feel it was kind of at the end. It was in like the last like month or so, and I was getting to the point where I was like, yeah, we don't have time to continue on with um, a lot of this work that is being done. Um, all those things are together. So I guess I only really need this. So I didn't like super critique it, but just like stuff like his face in both of these. They it's like a facsimile of what Richard looks like. You can tell from his costume that it's a similar character. But if you look at say some of these opening shots, um, this is one of the things I was noticing as I was working on it. Is just this consistency of character, which I'm really really looking forward to. Um, built having the character made where it is going to look the same from shot to shot. Um, like the character here, what he looks like here, uh, and what he looks like here, just how different that is. Um, but they're not 3D modeled at this point, so that's understandable that is the way that it is. But and he Jack Haynes, who is our illustrator, he you know he's not a professional illustrator, although he does graphic design. So it's not like he's sitting down 6 and 8 hours a day consistently drawing the same character. Um, and he was in a lot of ways his plan was to just do storyboards, so it was to capture just the essence of the characters and the places that they were. Um, that was his concept as he was working on it. Uh, so it wasn't. I'm sure he wasn't focused specifically on that. I'm sure that if he did sit down and do 6 to 8 hours or whatever every day, um, that he would be able to fine tune all these so that they look pretty consistent to each other. Um, it wasn't necessary for the project, but you can see how like back here in the background, that's just a sketch of a chair. That's not actually a chair at all. Like that thing right there needs to be taken out because it doesn't look good at all. Um, so I think Jack was kind of getting the sense too that I was kind of like, hey, we just need to wrap this up. Probably because I was saying to him on a number of occasions, hey, we just need to wrap this up. And so uh, that that was, so and he was only working on it, a couple hours, twice a week. The moments were spread apart from each other, and he had a lot of other things that he was doing with his life at the time. So his focus wasn't there. Also, aren't these boots different? I don't think he wears boots like that. I don't think they're silver. I think they're a different color. I think he wears like brown boots. Um, oh, you know what? This is not going to work at all because I need to deselect that. Let me look. Because I think we have a picture of him on the beach with boots on, and his boots are brown. Oh no, he does wear silver all the way down. Okay. Okay. And it's Peter who wears the silver boots. Dang, I didn't even notice that right there where it's not even shaded. It's not even colored in. Anyway. Yeah, so this I would say this probably isn't the best example of Jack's work, and mainly because I think he was rushing, and he was kind of done with the project. We'd been working on it a year by this time. You know, so the zeal that he had in the first, couple of months, I'm sure he was just like, just doing just doing what was necessary to get the job done. Uh, and also, I think at this time too, I was having a hard time uh, signing on into the drawing meetings that were happening. I think if you catch a lot of the drawing with Jack at this time, they're less consistent. Like I wasn't there as much because I was settling into Knoxville and traveling back and forth to try to get established here and whatnot. And so I wasn't able to consistently show up and keep it on task. Um, you know, so um, and then also that I had a lot going on because I think I was editing the Christmas show at that time too. So I had a lot going on at that time as well. And so as the director of this portion of the project, I probably wasn't keeping him on task as much as I could have as well. So that does fall on me to some extent. And that's why I was like, I don't think we're even gonna need to use these last panels. I think that was one of the thoughts that I was having is that we weren't even gonna use these last panels, and so just to kind of finish the pages to get Jack paid, and then move on to the final animation phase of the project. Um, but as it is, I think I might replace his head even because I just don't like the look that he has on his face. It's just so low detail. Um, for one, and the way that his comb is and stuff, um, this feels like a copy of a copy of a copy. Um, so I have to be reminded in Latin, amat is the word for love, um, and that's where we get the word amateur from. And amateur work versus professional work is you do it because you have the passion and love for it. And to point out, not necessarily that it's a masterful job, is often I think what is the distinction there. Um, Jack, of course, is able to do such great work, as we've seen in so many of the other panels. But I think that his love for the project at this point was kind of waning. So, and that's fair and understandable. Like I said, we had been working a year, and we had accomplished 4 pages in that time. So, if you guys want to check out, the whole process and see what was going on, you can always go to our YouTube, where this is going up, and you can check out Drawing with Jack, which has all the episodes that we did and all the guests that came in, and so you can watch Jack draw all these pieces, and if you're trying to figure out how to draw things and what the process is, it's a really great way to do that. That's one of the reasons I wanted to document it. That and of course we want to prove that this is not being done by artificial intelligence, but it's being done by human sweat and creativity. Um, but yeah, that just to watch him draw is an inspiration because there's just so many little things that he adds as he draws, and that's I can say this and that about all the little details, but he's just adding so many details that it can be easy to get caught up and miss little things. So here we go. But there we go. All right, so we're the first hour into this. So thank you all for being here with us here. Please check out Cox and Space, the video we've got going on up there if you want to see more. I assure you, it is not empty. Movie reviews, which if you want movie reviews, just because you like movies as much as we do, definitely check that out. We're gonna probably continue doing that if that is something that Peyton, Peyton, old friend of mine, Dylan is interested in doing. Um, just because I love movies a lot. I love talking about movies. I love watching them. I love discussing them with a friend. Uh, you know, and just talk about all the different qualities that happen. The things that go into it. Um, I'm not sure what the future is going to hold for me as far as like making entertainment. I really do desire to be working in entertainment and making entertainment for people. But I really enjoy examining the process of filmmaking as well. Like, I think there's a lot of critics. Um, you know, there's a joke. I was watching some SpongeBob the other day, laugh out loud for the animation, but also just it had come on, and I was like, yeah, I haven't watched SpongeBob. Um, but there was it's the art critic episode where Patrick, where Squidward, is trying to show that he's the artiste, and Patrick starts putting googly eyes on rocks and stuff, um, and he becomes recognized as the artiste, um, and they end up putting googly eyes on um, burgers and selling burgers for $50 because they got googly eyes on them. Yeah, it absolutely is commentary on what sells and what makes art valuable, for sure. Um, but the art critic in it, he makes the comment, like I don't make art, I just critique art. And so I think that, there is that tendency. There's a lot of people who, they don't make art, they just talk about the creating art. But like for me, that's not the case. I do really like examining the process of how something's done and whether or not it measures up to the goal of what it is. Um, because I enjoy making it myself, and I enjoy thinking about the things that it takes to make things. Um, and so that's where a lot of my reviews come from. It's not necessarily the entertainment value, but the storytelling that's done, the cinematography that's done, the way that it supports the characters and how the characters interact, the message of what the director is trying to get across, and that sort of thing. Um, and it's not meant to be like sour grapes. It's not meant to be like, I'm not able to get into this world, and so I'm going to critique that world. Although I imagine it could probably feel that way. Um, but yeah, it is coming from a place of love, of someone who loves to create things and loves to see the creation of other people. I really like to see people succeed, and I like to comment about how they succeed. So yeah, if you're interested in checking out our reviews, that's really where it comes from. These ideas about whether or not, in my opinion, whether or not something's working. And then Dylan comes from a very like, is the movie? Can you understand it? Is it fun? Is it an enjoyable watch? As just a general like audience member. And I appreciate that about him bringing that to the reviews, because those are things that I don't really look at. One of the things he'll do is he'll get wrapped up in the characters, and accept the characters and their reality. And I almost always just comment about them as actors, because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing actors in front of a camera on a set, reacting with props. It's very few movies that get me to disengage that part of my brain because the story is so compelling. Um, I think, for instance, like Parasite did that with me for me. Um, the movie from South Korea, um, because it was just so involved. I really did that. There are some movies that really they get me to stop watching them as movies and begin to watch them as just a story and buy into the reality. Um, But yeah, I'm most often watching a movie with a meta perspective on it. That we are watching a film, and these are the actions that the director and the writer took. These aren't the actions of real people, you know. Uh, and I wish in some ways I wish that I could turn off that part of my brain and I could just enjoy, like a movie. Like I could just enjoy the Fast and the Furious for being what it is. But I just see stunt moves, stunt maneuvers. I see the sales, the fact that it's to sell cars, and that you know it is what it is in that way. Uh, and so I'm like, the same thing with people love the Avengers movies, but I really just see, and it looks like to me that it's just the Department of Defense or Department of War rather. Now I think it's what they prefer to be called. Um, that they've funded this movie and they're just trying to show off how cool the American military can be. Um, you know, and they use in superhero movies to do it. I think that's where the funding has come from those. I might be wrong, but that's just the feeling that I get in watching those movies. Is like, yeah, this is clearly has an agenda that is not the story because or the characters because it would have it would have focused on them the story of the characters if it did so it is what it is. It's that's American movie making these days, um, and has been historically for a long time too. Is that the people who pay for the movie are the ones who get to get to put the message into the movie, and if that is that the American military is awesome, and that we should support them, no matter what. That's the message that they get to tell, because they're the ones who paid for the movie. So, it's not as focused on, you know, um, and also the other people who are funding that movie are the toy makers. They're trying to create a product that is going to sell a lot of toys and video games and T-shirts and stuff like that. So that's the focus. That's why Michael Bay invests in the Ninja Turtles franchises. That's why he invested in the Transformers franchises. Why is that worthwhile for him? Because he's getting a kickback on the toys. Why is it worthwhile for Disney to buy Star Wars? It's because they got kicked back on toys, video games, the role-playing games, the novels, everything. So that's what really sells movies. And so, ooh, catch my breath. And so, like, I get like what it is. I wish that I could shut off my brain and just kind of enjoy the rides on those. But that doesn't that's not that's not why I enjoy films. Um, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Like that's there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that, in my opinion. Um, Dang, I need to do something drastic here. Okay, I'm going to need to. I hate this. I hate what I'm about to do. If I do this incorrectly, I can screw everything up, and I'll have to re-download these. But what I'm trying to do is just take the shield out. But I have to erase Peter out the background, so I need to do this all in a very particular way. Yep, like that. And then I need to save this as um, this in a completely different spot. And if I do, again, if I do this wrong, I'd screw it up for everything. All right. All right, all right. Where is the, oh, okay. I thought there was Lounge 2 in here. There it is. I'm going to save it as. Yeah, this is actually the thing I wanted with Jack to do. Like I wanted Jack to do is to keep all these pieces separate so I could pull them out. And he did an okay job of doing that. Um, so yeah, it's not all necessarily connected. And then also the inks, they're their own lines. But what I have to do is, ooh, look at that. Okay, is get this guy out. I think what I'm going to try to do, but I have to do that without going over the other lines. So, try this. Um, yeah, I can kind of do it, but I really need to be careful about what I'm taking out. And actually, I'm not taking anything out. I'm just painting over it, and then I'm going to put that underneath and use that as the background. You give me an opportunity to take out this chair too. So, um, although I actually do need it blank, neither to be nothing behind him because I need just this shield layer to go over top of it. So I do need to erase everything that's there. Okay, uh, this won't work the way that I'm doing it. Okay, we'll do it like this instead. Um, I need the shield and the inks, basically. So, no. Okay, so I need this one. I need this one. I need to get rid of everything else. Hopefully, this will get me what I'm looking for. I'll leave that in for a second. So much that he has in the same. Oh my god. Okay. Did I save this? Okay, cool. I did. I'm leaving that background in for the second just so I can make sure that I can see. Okay, this is another one. But yeah, I really need this just as one shield. And the thing about it is that I'm hoping it keeps its opacity the way that it is, and it should. If not, I'm gonna have to make that do it. Um, okay, so on these inks, I need to actually erase the things that make up Richard. And then there's some highlights, okay. Here. This whole thing that we're working on right now is it's another minute altogether of footage. There's some dialogue, and then Luna's gonna have some more dialogue where she explains the story. And unfortunately, all I've got of her recording is from a Discord chat that we did when we did a read through of the script, and I got a recording of it, so it's not going to be real solid. It's going to be fine for an animatic, but it's not the cleanest sound that's going to come through. And then, dang, yeah. And then I don't have any music for that. I think I'm going to reach out to our boy Josiah um, the Wub Wizard and see if you can give us some background for this bit too, because it'll be fun for him to do like some emotional type music, I think. I haven't really had contact with him in a while, um, but he's a pretty cool dude, so I imagine he's just up to the things. I know he's been doing a lot of experimentation with new sounds and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that he will be around, even though we've fallen out of touch. Okay. Yeah, like this little bit right here. I'm just like, oh no. Um, you know, which, no, it's the thing behind that. Nope, it's this. Okay, so that's all in that background. Um, which I'll need, but not for this one. Okay. One of the reasons for me that doing the same job every day is hard is because it seems like when people do that, they have a tendency to lose track of time. And I don't just mean in, you can put that on the shield. Okay. I don't just mean in the sense of, while they're working on the job, but literally in the losing, the track of time in the measurement of years. When people, are repeatedly doing the same task, um, they have a tendency to, decades will whip right by them. Um, you know, for me, I saw that happen when I was working running the food bank um, for the cult that I was a part of. Um, in that, and and other people too. They people had stayed there for years, years at a time, and they would think to themselves that they just got there, but like I was there for like I think 6 or 7 years, um, and you know we'd be like, oh, you remember so and so, and then we realized that that person you know, had been gone for like 3 years or whatever. Like that happened long before the person I was talking to arrived as part of on the compound. Um, and so, yeah, it's, that's for me, like, I'm just like, the passage of time and the fact that it can slip right by you is something that, like, I don't want. Like, I do want to be like, what did I do today? And how is that different than yesterday? What am I doing tomorrow, and that helps me move forward with my goals, towards an objective that I'm trying to obtain, you know. Um, so. Because if you're not careful with that, the years will creep by you, will sneak by you real quick. And if you're a young person listening to this podcast, or this whatever this live stream, um, you might be like, what, it's taking forever, but you better watch out. You better not cry. I'm telling you, I'm telling you. Uh, the future comes quick for you. A day is long, they say, but a year passed quickly, and a decade even more quickly. Um, I was alive. I was in high school in when 9/11 happened, for instance. And the guy who told me about 9/11 grew up, because I hadn't watched it on the news. So I got to school. He was the one who told me. But that person has grown up and is now passed. He became a full adult, and he's a couple years younger than me. I think he was like 38, but he's dead now. Um, and uh, people who who, that's not what we want. I'm not sure how to do this. This opacity thing is really weird, and hopefully it will work. We'll have to see how this is, but oh wait, that's not what I wanted. I want this one. Okay. Maybe I can sponge it out. Yeah, because we don't need those lines there. I don't want to create a gap either, where the shield doesn't exist. It's so wild. Um, yeah, when Jack was creating these, I don't think he understood how I was intending to use them. And so stuff like this, which, on a flat drawing, uh, doesn't matter because when you're looking at it, you know, it's all one piece. And then, coming to use it the way that I'm using it, where I need, things separate um, to use them for different reasons, like the opacity of the shield, which is just a white layer, it's just like a clear-ish, white layer, um, then becomes a bigger problem to use. And so, and that's why I'm excited to be moving on to the next phase of this project, working with, um, you know, building models and using them in that way, because the intention will be more clearly understood as to what it is that we're doing and why. So, but I mean, Smash Mouth was right, y'all. The years start coming and they don't stop coming. You bend to the rules and you hit the ground running. Doesn't make sense not to live for fun. Your brain does get smart, but your head gets dumb. I mean, somebody told me the world was gonna roll me, and that person was Smash Mouth. But I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed. Okay. Cool. Coming up on about 90 minutes here. So we got some stuff done, and we're gonna continue to move forward with this. I'm going to take the background out, and then I have to test the opacity. I'm probably going to drop them both into a timeline real quick just to check how that's going to work, because it's going to be. I'm not sure. Also, I need to do some effects with it. I really want the same way that the gravity well kind of had like a shimmy and a shake to it. Um, uh, I want this to have that same, like, it looks like energy's emanating. It's like electrified and stuff, and I think that's cool. Um, cool. Oh no. Hopefully that doesn't look too bad when it's all working together. Okay. Let's get this background out. So it's just gonna be that. And then we need to get the rest of everything else out too. We need this gone. Need that gone. Hmm. What 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 is this? That's not the shield. We should really, it's the thing that's underneath it. Um, I don't want to do all this, but why is there a white background? There was, or there used to be, a thing that you could go like, is it this? Like deselect all, except for the one that you're clicking on. There it is. No, no, that's not it. Um, I can't remember which program that was in. It may have been in Photoshop, an old Photoshop, and this is obviously not Photoshop, the proper, the official uh, Adobe one. But okay, whatever it is underneath all that, but there's nothing underneath all that. Like whatever this is. Um, is it like locked or something? Nope. As far as I can see, there is no reason for that white to exist. Uh, okay, maybe. Okay, there it is. Okay, it looks like it's got a little leftover color, which is good. It does need to have that extended at the top. All right, let's export this to shield. It does look like it's see-through, and then we're going to 1920 by 1080. I don't know why those numbers are hard for me to remember, but I do have to look it up every time because I kind of vaguely remember that, but not enough to get all the numbers correct. I think I transposed that a lot. Oh shoot. Um, sure isn't though. Sure isn't though. All right. Really, what I want to do is just take all of this here. Copy that and then paste that up here. Ah, jeez. There we go. I'm just gonna rotate this whole thing to give it a little like top to it. look like garbage, but it's really hard to see. Okay, so I'm gonna drop that in a timeline real quick and see how that's going. Welcome to the viewers who checked in here. Um, we are doing something new-ish, um, and adding the last few minutes to a Cox and Space trailer. You can check out coxandspace.com if you want to see the preview of all these episodes. Oh goodness. One of the things that was crazy yesterday, as I was trying to get the final thing done here, was how the computer was freezing up quite a bit when it was trying to run anything, and it was wild to me, um, how that was happening, because I have not had any problems with any like memory problems at all, this whole time with it, and so that it was so draggy. Um, was really interesting. That it was doing that for the first time. Why is it doing all of this? Like it had never had the settings reset before. There we go. And so I don't know what happened. I was actually kind of glad to be getting done with it, for that reason, because I was like, okay, good, you know. Um, the you know because I just like I don't really want to deal with all this trouble of just waiting for something to load, waiting for something to load. It is quite a pain. Huh. Not sure why I did that, but okay. Interesting how it's rendering those guys, because it's not exactly right. Is there an opacity? There is. Um, hmm. For some reason, I just lost connection to the internet. Not sure why that happened, but hopefully that's not affecting anything here. It seems to be fine. Okay. Um, anyway, Mercury's in retrograde for one. I know that's something that's happening for sure. And so I know that that's going to affect things in a weird way. But it's so weird how it's not. Oh, you know what? That's because it's only pink because it was on a purple background. This is not even. It's really interesting. Okay. Um, so I do need to fix some things with it when I do that. But that makes it look better. That way the colors are coming out a little bit. Um, not like that. Not like that. I don't know if you if you guys are noticing, but yeah, the difference between all these blend modes, something that as someone who works with the often should know. Okay, that's it's not a thing that I've ever been really good at knowing which one's which, and so generally it's me messing with things to get the right. And I know that I know they have definitions to them, um, and that they do. Yeah, that's fun right there. They do they're specifically functioning for the ways that they're supposed to function, but I haven't ever really closely examined them and made mental note or whatever to figure out how to use them because it's not really what I've been spending a lot of time on. I do need to clean them up a bunch. Wow, I thought I did. Like, I really thought I did. I can't believe that he has that line around him still. I really thought I cleaned him up. Um, so, yeah, I didn't. Okay, I'll go back and do that. It might not matter because the background that they're on. Um, but I do know that Aaron wanted this to be like pink. So, because for some reason, all this stuff in the Cox there's this pinkish color. You notice that their logo also has a pink egg in it, and I'm not sure why that's what the color is, but that's what he wanted, and this is really, in a lot of ways, this is like his creation. I'm mostly just here for the ride, so he gets what he wants on that. Um, Let me do this to bring the brightness up a little bit so it doesn't look so soupy. There we go. Something like that. Um, so so again, that is what it is with that. There are some things that I was like aesthetically like we absolutely can't do some things because I just they don't look good. And he doesn't care so much about some of those things. But there we go. I think that's got him a good shield. Um, Wonder why this is behaving the way that it is up here, though. It might be that it's denser, but yeah, that's fine. I'm probably gonna do something like I don't know. We'll mess with it to do that. Um, Something like this. Yeah, so it's all like yeah. And I'll probably have to change the yeah, so it does like stuff like that. Like yeah, exactly. Like I just want it to be yeah, like weirdly shaped. Um, Maybe not to that degree. Uh, yeah, but so it like maybe does something like that. Um, That is fun though. Oh, that might be what we're looking for, something like that. Yeah. So it's just doing that like rippling effect. Um, anyway. Anyway, I will mess with that all later. Oh, cool. Okay. Um, no, that one's not nice. Also not good, but that is cool. That's a cool effect to be able to do stuff with. Cool. Let me leave that like that, and we'll go back. It just adds a little shimmer to it. Um, you just watching me mess with something I'm not even gonna deal with right now, but yeah, that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now. Let me do this, and then we're gonna call this one. We'll delete this. Wait, yeah, we want this one deleted. We do want this to be renamed though. This is what we're calling shield. So yeah, cool. We got a couple of things happening, which is nice in the new extension trailer. Not sure why I was trying to do that. I know I was trying to incorporate like AI learning, and I'm not a huge fan of that. Um, it is what it is. I want to look into, using a different program. In fact, that probably won't be what I'll be in charge of at all, to be honest, moving forward with the production, um, because that's not really my forte at all. Uh, but yeah. Um, and I say that, with all due respect to the people who are good at doing that, is that, hopefully we will have hired, people who are capable of doing that. We can just talk to them about what they're capable of doing, and then, take care of that alongside of them. Um, I'm not even sure if, we are going to be able to, um, do like the voice acting and stuff for the show. I was, I was like looking at BoJack Horseman, and obviously, Raphael Bob Wanisker, um, has been able to, was able to be on the show as in a certain capacity, um, and added some contributing voices, but mainly was recognized, uh, as being, the writer of the show, and he kind of left the animation and, the voice acting to, the people who were involved in it in that way. And one of the things is that, you notice with, BoJack Horseman, what I was noticing with BoJack Horseman is that, um, they that the people who are on the show, Will Arnett and Aaron Paul. I'm not sure about Amy Sedaris, um, but the people who are on the show were also producers of the show, and I think that is kind of how it worked out. And so it might be the case that that we won't get to do the voices for Richard and Peter as much as we'll be doing the writing and be able to follow along with that. So um, it is what it is, that's an understandable part of the whole process. If you want people to um, buy into it, they have to have a reason to be a part of it. And so, gosh, am I gonna do this? This I know I can't do with that on top of that, so I'm gonna take that off. Um, and so, I would love to do it. I'd love to be that one of the voices. I'd love to continue to play Peter um, myself, and I know that Aaron really wants to play, you know, uh, Richard himself, but that's not necessarily practical as far as like selling the show and continuing to work on it. So, um, what's on that layer? Huh? And that's fine. I mean, that's I recognize that there's going to be some growing pains with the process. So. Um, but to me, getting the show, into the public sphere, and getting people to see it is the thing that's kind of the most important aspect. So um, that's the thing that to me is going to be more the key. The cat has insisted that it's time for pets. So, in case you're wondering what I'm struggling with right now, it's the cat has decided it's time for pets, and that whatever I'm doing is not important. Instead, it's time for pets. Uh, I just recently got out of a relationship that I was with a person who behaved the same way that as this cat does, which I think is amusing. They had no awareness of, you know, uh, what, of anybody else or anybody else's needs. They just, like, the only thing they were capable of thinking of was, what they wanted, uh, and what they felt they needed. And so, anyway, it's interesting. It's fine when you see it from a cat, right? You get it. You get, the cat is gonna be, like that. The cat has no empathy um, or awareness enough to consider other people and their feelings or their desires, or they can't understand why I'm focused on a screen and talking. It's too much for a cat to understand. But it is funny when you see it from a person, um, because like you just like especially an adult, you like, but you do have the capability to understand other people's point of view. You do have the ability to hear, other people's requests. Like, why aren't you? You know, um, you know, how can you be so self-absorbed? But you know, some people be like that. Uh, so, like I mentioned, that's not a relationship that I'm in now. Uh, for that reason, because I think that if you're gonna be involved, with another person, one of the things that has to be considered a lot is that you're dealing with a whole a whole other life there, right? You know, that they have interests, they have desires, they have history, you know, they have a rich hidden world that you know nothing about. And so it's necessary to um, to take that into account as much as possible, and to allow that person. And this is from me. Maybe everybody's different in their desires for relationships, but for me, like, you know, to give a person the ability to practice and their free will, and, you know, exercise who they are as a being, and follow the path that only they recognize, you know, that, 'cause that's a really important aspect of a relationship. I feel like for me, when I've run into relationships where it doesn't balance like that, like one person wants to be the lead, or the other, or one person doesn't want to demonstrate their own desires, or follow their own will, and just get wrapped up in the relationship itself, is where that thing is going to implode on itself, because it doesn't have two people in it. It generally only has one, or it has a weird amalgamation of one person in it, and so um, you know, that it's not a really healthy way, in my opinion, to exist, and not something that I desire personally. Um, for that, you know, the reason that I desire to be with another person is because they have their own being. They are their own person. You know, they bring something that's separate from me to the equation. Oh, geez, that's all on that same one. Okay. You know, uh, like, the reason that I enjoy being with another person is because they can provide a mirror to let you see something that you know, basically they can hold a mirror up and let you see the world that you're not capable of seeing yourself. And so when they don't bring their own person to a relationship, or they desire so much for you to be only what they need for you, it doesn't give it doesn't you lose the quality of, like, the whole reason that, in my opinion, you would want a relationship. You know, is for that the it's not just one person; it's actually two working in tandem, fully engaging their brains and emotions and personage, and engaging in that relationship. Um, so again, it's fine for animals to do that. Like, I get why animals would do that. You know, because they're here short-lived on the earth. They have very basic desires of things that they want and need, and what they're going to accomplish in the world. And they're not supposed to be equal to us. Um, you know, but yeah, for a person for a person to behave that way, it's very, very strange. Um, that you know, to just negate just to negate the fact that there's another being in the relationship with them. You know, I'm just like, well, what? Why would you even want? Why would you even want me around if you didn't want me to be, you know, my own person? Um, so silly. Anyway, not dogging on them, but, like, you know, it just is strange, is all. That they would desire that another desire, you know, another person around them at all. Like, why not just be by yourself and just get whatever you want that way, you know? uh, if that was the case, but it is what it is. I haven't run into too many of those people, and that's probably because that's not the type of world that I inhabit. You know, the people that I do enjoy spending time with, damn, what the hell? Shoot, what is that? Okay, I'm gonna try to solve something simpler real quick, just to clean up the rest of this. Um, nope. This one. You both know that's not what that is. Come on now. There we no. Okay. Oh, it's left over from the sketch. Gotcha. The people that I desire to spend time with and the ones that we end up getting along are the ones that they do them, and I take joy in them doing them, and I do me, and they take joy in me doing me. Those are the ones that I hang out with and spend time with. Um, and those are the ones that really last. And I guess it is kind of few and far between for me, and it's hard to tell now because recently. Recently, like I said, like the last decade, I was in this cult that they expected you to behave only the way that they wanted you to behave, and in no other way. And so I made a lot of friends there, and I felt like I had a really rich group of people around me before I became aware of the cultiness, of course. Um, Dang, I knew it was right here. Um, But yeah, as soon as I left there, now all of a sudden, because they're in a cult, they can't still be friends with me as a person because it kind of like demonstrates that it's too severe of a delineation between who they are and what they claim and reality. So and that's tough. Okay, I'm gonna. Getting her off that mirror is going to be really difficult because of the shadowing right there. And there's nothing behind it. I mean, as you can see, there's no like if I take off like this dress right here, for instance. Oh, there is. Oh, cool. Um, but there's not. Maybe no, there's not. Those highlights are left. Wait, no. Okay, cool. All right, let's see if I can't get. No. And so I mean, that is tough. Like, it's weird to be in the place that I am, um, because damn, there's some missing. But okay, because in a lot of ways, okay, um, I don't fit into. I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't fit into like a lot of the groups that exist. Like I don't have kids. Um, I'm not established in a career that's recognized a recognized career. So this is not a color, it's the absence of a color. No, okay. Yeah, there's like a sheen over top of it. What is this? It's missing a space, but I think it's on this one. Wow, this really doesn't want to work. It's like when I hold it down, it's not doing it. Oh, okay. Um, I'm hoping to have that change, to have a group of people that I'm a part of. Um, you know, uh, you know what I'm gonna do? Mm, We don't have a very nice set at all, um, without this, and that sucks. Um, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to make this work. Because obviously okay, I think I'm gonna do it as a merged image maybe, and then make it all work together that way. Nope, that's not it. So many little layers happening here. Oh dang, I definitely need to not save this image. There it is on this one. Yeah, you can tell Jack was working fast and dirty on a lot of these because he was like, as long as it looked fine, um, you know, from that one perspective. I'm glad that there's individual layers here to work with, but um, man, this is tough. To What am I gonna do with all that? All right, I'm gonna take a merged image and then try to patch it in to try to like make a set. Yeah, do that. I assure you it is not. Alright, I'm gonna do this. We're gonna call it a Luna set. I mean, we are making pretty good headway here. I am pretty excited about that. Oh yeah, a lot of this is just blank spaces. Um, because we're getting this set together, I'm gonna have to pull out the other set and then clean that up, and then we have just pulling out Luna and her costume change. Although I'm not positive, like I said, that I'm gonna do Luna's costume change. Um, for one, it doesn't help us a whole lot for the storytelling, um, like the other things are. Like finishing with the line, I'll bring back the Starry Serious Prairie. That really does kind of put a button on it. Um, because she gives us the whole thing, and then we get his mission. So that will help us there, to kind of like get the whole thing. But anyway, But being like the odd man out for me has kind of been like my entire life. I'm not sure if I have mentioned this or talked about this on the show, but um, I was homeschooled, so from kindergarten until my freshman year of high school, um, like the second half of my freshman year of high school, the second semester. Um, and so, in that way, I was really like not a part of the group or understood how to be a part of groups, which in some ways is really good. It has been really good, just being undiagnosed and autistic, and they didn't understand that in the 90s. Um, as I believe I am, I'm still undiagnosed, but it seems likely in a lot of ways, just high functioning, fortunately for me. Um, but so like going to school in the 80s and 90s would have been very difficult for me, and I probably would have turned out very differently than I have. I do appreciate that I was held out of that. Um, but it did make it so that I didn't understand how people interact, and it does put me as part of like a separate group. Um, Also, we were raised in a very religious environment where we only interacted with people from our church um, for a long, long period of time. Now, there was my mom's, the one thing that did happen is that, my mom made sure that we were involved in other activities too. So my brothers got to play soccer, which I think helped them out a lot to understand, and they were on a swim team too, and understand how people were and interact with people. Um, I I was allowed to audition for some plays, and was able to do those shows when I got cast, um, which in some ways helped me. Although um, that's a different type of thing for sure. Um, than a sports team. Because for one, on a sports team, everybody is part of the same team. In an acting environment, everybody is kind of isolated to their own role in a lot of ways. And then there's all the ego that goes along with any type of acting that happens. And so I experienced that, which was good, for interacting. I didn't really ever make friends there, with a few exceptions. And same thing with um, growing up in a church. I felt like I had a lot of friends because I knew a lot of people. But then as I got older, I realized that it's just that we saw each other a lot. It's not necessarily that we actually in that I was like part of it. I was part of like a drama troupe that I helped. I guess somebody else started, and then I got to be a part of, and then sort of got to help direct where it was going. Um, and because we all had equal voices in it. It was three guys, three girls, something like that. All members of the church, but and the homeschool people, but we all got to have equal voice in that, and that was really cool. And I thought that those guys were my friends, and it turned out that we were all friendly, and we did get to hang out together until I began to question the religion as I got older, um, and we had a leader who came in, who was also my boss at the time, who decided that they didn't. I don't remember what the deal. I mean, like I don't know what their deal was, but they decided that they didn't want me to do any of the things that I was doing in the group, which is just helping the group run and doing playing the characters and stuff. And so they decided to like oust me from this group. Um, and so anyway, But yeah, so the people that I thought were my friends that I grew up with as my friends, they when it became inconvenient for them to for us to be getting along or hanging out, they stopped putting in the effort or whatever, um, and they went on with their lives in a lot of ways. So um, in high school, I met people, but I was still a part of the religious community, and I wasn't really allowed to hang out with people because I think that my mom thought that they would be trouble or something. I don't know. And so, yeah, so I didn't really hang out with them either. I did have one really good friend growing up. He lived right across the fence, and we'd hang out all the time. But I didn't realize it at the time, but he wasn't that great of a dude. Like his mom really messed him up in a lot of ways, and encouraged him to be like devious and sneaky and try to get away with stuff as much as possible. She was a real piece of shit, actually. Um, like I still detest that woman and women who are like her. She was like a Karen, you know what I mean? But like a Karen that she wasn't just being fussy, but she was doing it so she could get situation into her favor, and to get stuff for free. That was her like favorite thing was to try to get things for free. Um, and yeah, she was not a great person. Um, Not come to think of it, she was probably the first narcissist I've ever ran into that I can identify now. Um, just an awful woman. Um, and anyway, so she taught her son, who was a pretty cool dude, I thought. He's pretty chill. We had a lot of fun together, but just taught him to be not a good person. And was everything he did was always wrong. As a narcissist does to maintain control. Um, and he ended up being not great to me as a person as well. Um, and so um, just it turns out that he lied a lot, when he would tell me things, and me just being dumb, thinking that everybody's good, essentially good, and that since I would never want to hurt one of my friends, that a person who I consider a friend would never try to hurt me. um, you know um, Turns out that he wasn't. And that wasn't it wasn't the same mentality. We didn't have the same mentality in that way. Um, and so yeah, as I got into um, the next phase of my life outside of these really controlling groups, and was like all the people that were my friends that I counted as friends, they all kind of like just disappeared. And because I wasn't going to be a part of what they were doing, or and the thing is, this is the thing, and I don't know, like this is the thing that I was thinking about today as I was hiking, is like how there's a certain type of person who likes to have me around, and that's the type of person who's really curious about the world, how it works, who isn't really sure of themselves. Not that they're not unsure of themselves, or like, that they don't know who they are, because people who know who they are is people who I do really enjoy hanging and spending time with. But people who aren't like they don't have a definite. They know that the world is far more mysterious than we can fathom, and so they treat it with that same joy and curiosity that I admire. Um, but yeah, so like if there's the people who that don't like to get along with me are the ones that they can't stand to be questioned, or like they don't like the fact that like you can't really put me in a box, or like if you've decided that one thing is true, they don't like the idea that maybe it's not as clear cut as they were. Because the thing is that. that I'm always going to question that, and not because I enjoy like messing with people, although I've been accused of that, but because I don't often understand things, and so because I don't understand things, I'm going to ask questions so that I can understand things. And people who also don't understand things but want to pretend that they understand things don't like when I do that because it makes them very, very uncomfortable because then they begin to realize that they don't, or they begin to realize that the questions that I'm having are upsetting their point of view, and when their point of view has their ego wrapped up in it, they're being right in a certain way, has the ego wrapped up in it. It doesn't make them really upset and uncomfortable, generally to the point of being mad, and they'll accuse me of being difficult to them, because I'm causing them discomfort. When really all I'm doing is just trying to understand what the hell they're talking about and why they would believe such a thing and how that even makes any kind of sense whatsoever. Logically speaking, how, based off of what can be known, and that sort of thing. So, as you can tell, people who, that's why I don't often get along with religious people who, in so many ways, you have to take religion on faith. You can't, there is nothing that you can truly know with religion in a lot of ways. Um, and the same thing with a lot of academics, especially if they paid a lot of money for the education that they have. They have a hard time with me being around because I will question things that they know, um, and ask them to explain and re-explain, probably over-explain what they're talking about. And so that becomes difficult for them because, again, once what you find out very quickly is that while, academics, or religious people can have a lot of great wisdom or knowledge about a certain thing, there are things that we just can't know, and the life itself is bigger than we can our human brains can fathom, um, and so uh, actually I remember the first time this happened to me. I was very confused in the conversation, um, because what it had occurred to me during the conversation was that like I think that this person was telling me about how light worked, and how like how color worked, right? That it's not we don't that it's the light that's bouncing off a thing, right? I think I'm saying that right. All the other colors are absorbed, but it's the portion of light that bounces off that thing that what we see as color. And so what I was pointing out was that there was no then the world around us is actually completely colorless, and that it's like it's impossible for us to tell with any certainty that you and I are seeing the same color, although we're receiving similar vibrations and we've given it like the same word, because individual experience, right? Like I can't get inside your brain and and see what color red looks like to you, right? Because our rods and cones are all different from each other, and you know, uh, while we're picking up a spectrum of light that is a vibration that we've been told that that's what's called red. That what we're actually it's hard to it would be impossible for us to tell exactly what another person is seeing, and that's all that I was trying. The point that I was talking to with this person because I was like completely blown away by individual experience, basically. Um, and I was trying to like get that point across, and then I just infuriated this person who, you know, who was telling me, yeah, that there is definitions, like there are hard facts, about, what colors are, um, and I was only talking about the subjective experience about it, but uh, you know, and then I was so mystified that they were so mad. And then the more I tried to explain that what they were saying and what I was saying was different, the more that the more mad they got, where they were just finally like, shut up, you know, enough, because I was a little kid at the time, probably like 10 or 11. They were an adult, you know. And so that's the case, is that uh, I run into that a lot. And we had a conversation, or I mentioned to you recently how it came to my awareness, and I don't know why it's taken this long for this concept to come to me, for me to come to understand it or whatever, because I know it's true. I just, I hadn't thought about it. But the idea of heuristics, right? That what you're saying and what people are hearing are completely different things, and it's actually impossible for people to share exactly what they're talking about, because all the words that I'm saying to you are they're it's not a one-to-one correlation. Everything's interpretive, in that uh, you know, because you have different life experience than I do, any word that I say to you you can't, I can't share with you all of my life experiences when I say that word. I have to just say that, and then your brain takes an interpretation from everything that it's learned before, and so obviously those things are different. I mean, there's just no two ways about that. It's obviously different because everybody has such a unique experience, and greater so now we come to find out, because of the internet, right? Like, there's people who aren't even growing up in the same towns or same countries or same cultures, and they're using these words with each other, and of course there's miscommunication all over the internet, because the words that they're saying are being interpreted differently than the speaker intends. And then also, I mean, of course, the entirety of just, stupid people don't want to hear other people's point of view. They only want to defend their own, so they're not trying to understand for the most part. They're just trying to be right. And so most communication is literally impossible to have. Um, and so, that for me, already always feeling like an outsider, because the place that I come from, my experience is so unique from other people's experiences. Saying that I haven't even been in a classroom very much. Like, people spent 18 years in a classroom, and I spent four for one. And I wasn't raised in capitalist culture in a lot of ways because my mom rejected that. Part of it, I believe, was because we were poor, poorer, and but also, she didn't want to buy into. She was saying that, you know, uh, at that time, it's super weird how my parents have changed, but um, at that time, like the rampant consumerism of America was kind of picking up in a lot of ways. It was, different than when she was raised, um, and she was raised poor also, and so I think that she wanted us not to have the idea that we were lacking, simply because we didn't have money. Um, and so, the idea of getting uh, n- new new things is not a thing that I was raised with. Because we always did thrift shopping. That's a big thing for her, garage sales. Um, you know, the idea that we'll try to make something last as long as possible and fix things if they break, is a way that I was raised. Um, we ate out of the garden that my mom grew for a while. My dad was a prepper before it was popular. He was always expecting the collapse of American culture, and then weirdly, he didn't see it. He's unaware of it happening right now, but that's a different story. So we were always he was always trying to make sure that we had a way to survive So one of my earliest jobs was taking care of the rabbits. The I think we had like 80 rabbits that we raised, that I helped raise, so that we'd always have meat to eat. Because he would raise these rabbits and then slaughter them for our food. And part of it, I think it was because again, he was trying to make ends meet. Then it was the idea too that Armageddon was coming, because that was a popular idea among the church people that we were a part of, and that like Y2K, there was obviously, the computers were not going to be working properly, so that was a thing that was true. But everybody in my church believed that that was going to be the coming of Christ, and so we were preparing for the end, for a good number of years. And so living with that idea, the idea of a coming apocalypse too, is it is more common for millennials, because we have lived through a number of crises like that. Where we thought the end was prominent, but also it was more than just like a political thing or an idea of political unrest or social unrest, but the idea that none of this stuff was going to matter very soon, because we were engaged in a holy war, with actual demons that were constantly around us, and then also that the king was returning very soon to rule the planet. And so it was like, being a part of this world was less necessary than than other people were led to believe. That we were the only ones who had the truth was another idea that I was raised with. Um, and so, again, from this strange point of view is where I came from, and so uh, it's not unusual, it's not weird to be like, oh, why is it that I don't seem to be fitting in with my peers, or like that I have a heuristic connection with most people around me. And that's why, that my upbringing was so very different, from a lot of people's. Um, and it has shaped who I am. And so I don't, I don't ask for a different life, and this isn't really like, poor me as a story, because I don't feel that way at all. Um, it it's just like an understanding that, like, um, you know the the population at large seems to have had an experience, and I had a very different experience. For instance, like, here's another example, is that I've been working, like making a paycheck since I was 10. I got my first paper route when I was 10, and I've been employed, uh, you know, since then. Uh, because I was homeschooled, I had the ability to be a paperboy, and so we had our work done. It didn't have homework, and so that gave me the ability to do that thing. Um, and so that's one of those things that, like, I do desire to do work almost all the time, because that's kind of like how my mentality is. You know, um, like I think I mentioned this too, that I've in my family, my extended family, art is uh, is really admired, but not in the commercial sense, which is just to me, I mean, just a wild, I've gotten older, it's just a wild mentality. But like all of my family, in the extended family on that side, are all artistic and creative, playing music, crafting things, making all kinds of art, but not to sell. It's for their own private expression, Like my uncle, for instance, has written several novels, but never with the idea to get them published, but just because he enjoyed writing them. My dad plays all kinds of music, but he's never been a professional musician. Although he probably could be. He could probably be a very good studio musician. But that wasn't the sort of thing. It was you use art for private reasons and not for making money on you make money off of ordinary things like running a bar or working in the mines or being a carpenter or whatever. And so, yeah, for me to be like, hey, this is the career that I want is a thing that's strange to them, when, it's like, the, it's the most, I think that's a very like American mindset. It's probably the most normal thing I do. Um, is like, yeah, um, if you're gonna be doing it, you better be making money doing it, right? Um, so otherwise, why do it? All right, so we kind of mostly have a set here, which is cool. This whole thing is such just a sketch. It's so silly. But yeah, that's that's where I think that thought started. I was like, I don't know if I'll ever really fit in with culture at large, just because it's like the people, the groups that I have walked among, they neither one of them has any interest in having me among them. Um, and mainly because I'm very upsetting. I'm casually upsetting to a lot of people. Um, and uh, I'm fine with that, but it is sometimes it's like, is it always going to be like this? You know, will there ever be anyone who in which I am understood and I can understand, um, but you know, it is what it is. Life don't have to make sense to me. It just keeps going on. It just keeps existing, and it will, keep doing that in the most wonderful and horrendous ways. Ugh. I mean, life continues to be terribly tragic and wonderfully beautiful at the same time, and that seems to be the only constant that you can get from this world. Is that it will be both beautiful and horrible. So, um, how do you like them apples? Comment below about how you like them apples, I guess. And you know, uh, be relieved that these podcasts will not go on uh, indefinitely. I don't know. Maybe we'll do podcasts as we work on the show. We'll do live streams as we work on the show, so you can be kept up with the process. If that is something that you desire, um, you can always comment about that. But maybe it's the type of thing that you will want to see as being part of the development of behind the scenes sort of stuff. As you can see, most of what we do is not that interesting. The end result is always pretty cool. I hope that you have checked it out at coxinspace.com to see what it all added up to. But yeah, the little individual steps, unless you're an illustrator, unless you're an animator, in a lot of ways, it is less interesting than you would hope. Um, because it's just a lot of little details generally. Uh, a lot of details that you have to work on. So, you know, that is what it is. Ugh. All right, so cool. Coming up on the second hour here, and we are getting pretty close to having this first shot done, and then it's really just that second shot of her behind the curtain, um, and then I think I'll cut back to this one for the response shot, um, and so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to animating it today or if I'll do that in the next couple of days, but I'll probably have this done by the end of the week, is my guess. Um, and that'll be good. We can start to do whatever comes next, whatever comes next. Um, I wish I had thought of this before we started doing the promotion, before for this clip, and so I could have had it all up there at the same time, but like I said, I got fixated kind of on getting it to the completion phase, and so didn't. What the hell? Um, didn't really think about it as trying to complete the story. I was really just trying to get to this song, which I was thinking was pretty daunting. Uh, and let's say hi to Cutie, who has once again decided that it is time to stand over the keyboard. Um, and and you know, run things with her little 5 pound thoughts and and opinions. Yeah, that's right. That's how that all gets started. That's funny. That it was like, just the consideration of other people, and how we behave towards each other, and then just how how in general, um, how I view the world and how a lot of other people view the world just is different uh, from each other. So meeting, geez, why am I doing it on that layer? Meeting people who that you do you can understand each other, you know, and that you able to communicate with is a rare gift. I do have a couple of friends currently that that is the case with, and so I do very much appreciate that being the case. Um, that being a recognizing just how rare it is. Uh, for me personally, to wow, what is going on here? Why is there a big black line that wasn't there before? Um, for me personally to get along with. There are people like Aaron, for instance. I feel like he gets along with most people, um, and a little bit envious of him for that. A little bit, um, and then at the same time, I just think it's so freaking tiring that it's not something I really admire. Uh, I desire myself, uh, you know, because getting along with people means generally like um, not saying the things that are on your mind or letting them be wrong in a lot of ways, or like just putting up with them being wrong rather. Um, and I'm often just like, yeah, like I said, I'll question because I want to understand why it is that people will want those things or be those things, and then they'll be mad that I asked those kinds of questions. Um, and so for me personally, the absolute like blundering of human interaction is a thing. So uh, yeah, that is a thing. There we go. We got a set. We're gonna put that in there and launch to. Oh, what time is it? Okay, so um, there we go. About an hour and a half is kind of where I set the time limit at. I'm gonna reopen this whole thing because I messed it up so bad. I'm gonna take this one that has all the pieces in it. I really this panel is fine. I like it. The Doctor, it's so cool and so powerful, but I don't. Mm, I think I'm gonna put her into this scene. Um, so I don't know why he put a clipboard in her hand. I guess that's the most doctory thing that he could give her as a prop, but uh, it's weird that she would have come out from behind a screen holding a clipboard. And she's not doing anything medical right now. She's just getting in her scrubs. Um, I do like the desexualization of Luna. It's actually one of the things that Aaron requested, which I think is really, really interesting. Because I don't see Aaron as being like a hardcore feminist or anything like that. Like I don't see that he has like that mentality or that he's even intentionally doing it. He does treat both men and women like people, which is why I have a lot of respect for him as a person. Because their gender to him doesn't super matter, because everybody is deserving of kindness and love and respect. Um, Not to say he's not attracted to women, and probably for the same reason that men are, or anyone's attracted to the gender that they're attracted to. Um, you know, uh, but that there's something that's like greater, like the fact that they're human or a being in general is why we should respect them and take care of them, not because of what pleasure we can get out of them, which is definitely a thing I respect. And so his thoughts on Luna was that yes, she is very powerful as a singer, and she's very provocative. When she's in that performance mode, for the purposes that exist there. But also, she's very smart. She's very capable. She's actually a trained veterinarian, and so when she comes out the other side of that, um, the changing the French screen, or there's a word for it, but I know it has the word French in it. But anyway, when she comes out the other side, that she's almost the exact opposite of how we saw her go in. You know, she in the lounge mode, as a performer, she's very Jessica Rabbit. Um, but as she is, she's coming out this other side. She's closer to like any working professional, yeah, medical professional or whatever. That gender is not even a consideration because she has a role to play. And so, yeah, and I think Jack did a really good job too. And that's one of the things too that that I admire about Jack, is he's very progressive in that way as well. Recognizing that gender doesn't limit really anything in people. Uh, that just because you're male or female or non-binary, that that's not going to limit, that's not going to really define what you're capable of doing, in a lot of ways. Um, there are some biological functions and of course aging. The way that the different genders, the two sexes will age, is slightly different from each other, um, and in some cases more than slightly. But that as far as like how they can behave in society and what they're capable of doing societally, that there's not a whole lot of difference between the two. um, and so, yeah, I just love that he did this too. Like as you see, she doesn't even have obvious breasts in this outfit. That she is just Kat, who's on the case. She switched up her high heels for these very practical like boots. And so I really do love that. And that's the thing too that's interesting about Richard's attraction to her, is he sees her first as the Jessica Rabbit lounge singer, and that's where he's like really struck by her. But then they form this like really solid friendship based off of her abilities as a person, um, as a being. And that's where we've been kind of exploring in the over the course of this season, is how yes, he's attracted to her, but also it's they have this really great friendship. Um, and that's one of the things I was saying about the relationship, where I was like, this person that I was seeing, that they were like, everything had to be their way and only their way, and it was like based off of what they could get out of the situation from me. And I was like, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm not really like I don't really value that. Like what I value more than anything else is the friendship of the person that I'm with, and really like I would want that more than anything else because that's the thing that's going to last more than anything else. Um, I feel like it switched on me. This is not the same. Yeah. Um, and that's the case. Because like sex is great and everything, but have you ever had the respect of another person? Have you ever been able to rely on another human being? Do you recognize that as we age, like the sex drive becomes almost unnecessary, because you're not. Well, yeah, yes, it's enjoyable, and yeah, it's good for releasing endorphins and intimacy, to spend time together in that way that's really close. The idea of procreation becomes less and less of a prominent feature of a relationship as you get out of childbearing years. And what are you going to have once that's over? Now, I guess that it is really important for the species to continue, and yes, it is very enjoyable, and uh, like it is something that we like focus on a lot, early on. But like, the long term is that I want to be in a relationship with somebody that we enjoy spending just the time together. Like we're gonna be sitting on a porch watching a sunset, holding hands and talking. You know what I mean? Like that's the sort of there's nothing to be gained from the other person except for the pleasure of their company. And I think that that's such a cool way that Aaron wanted to explore the character of Luna, and that has really insisted on that's how she is that she's not just the M appeal, but that she is a being in her own right, fully capable, fully autonomous. She has her own, um, that she is her own person. Let me. And that's one of the things that we're really seeking to do, with the exploration of the show, is that we want to is that we want that recognition, for our people, for the people who are watching the show, and for the characters, that both men and women aren't just objects for sex, right? Like that they deserve to be loved and deserve to have kindness shown to them and to be kind, regardless of anything else. And so so for me, that's like, one of the things that I'm glad that Aaron, this one of the reasons I've continued to work with him on this show, is that he has what I consider to be a very like healthy, um, perspective, on on relationships and on how you deal with people. Um, and and what it means to be a person, and what is important, in that. So, like, just for the fact that we exist, is the reason that each of us deserves to be treated kindly and to practice kindness towards others, is because we recognize that we all exist here together. So. Aaron and I disagree slightly in that he says that he wants to make the world a happier place. I don't know if I value happiness so much as like being kind and to recognize like peace and joy. Uh, you know, but I would say that it's a small differentiation. Um, and I think that he means those things, and he sums it up as happiness. Um, because those ultimately do bring you actual happiness. But so many people will pursue the idea of being happy, and that's a tough goal. That's a tough goal because how do you be happy about tough situations, right? Um, it's hard. It's hard and nearly impossible to be happy about, say, the state of the world right now. It's hard to be happy about, there's genocide going on. There's wars happening. It's hard to be happy about those things. But I would argue that you can find peace in that, and you can find joy in your circumstance, um, even if that's the case. So, uh, okay, I think that these shadows are going to be hard to deal with, but because I have to create a whole like shadow creature based off of as she goes back behind there. Um, French screen, that's what those things are called. I wonder if I don't really have the back. I don't really have the back of Luna, so it would have to be a cat shadow. And I don't really want, let's see, I need I need this foreground to be up in front of it, obviously. Okay, so those are all together. Like I need this piece separate, but then it's got the shadows on it. cool. Oh no. That's the one I just took off. It's got the inks on it. Dang. But I need it. This is a tricky one because he did a translucent screen, but it has the shadow on it already. I don't think that I have just this green by itself. Excuse me on that one. Um, and I can't have the line work in the background, so, or the color in the background. So I'll need to take that out, and then take this out, I guess. And then take the floor out. I think I can use it like that. This little bit right here. No, it is this. No. Hmm. All right. Just for the pieces not being drawn separately, is creating a different challenge, much like the removing her from this set. Although this one's much more involved because it's the way that the shadows are on it too. What the hell is this? Um, Let me just do this and then open this back up, see if it's there. Nope. Yeah, it's totally, there's just a random line. It got drawn and never cleaned up on it. Um, yep, just a random stroke right there. Okay, this is definitely going to affect this thing right here. All right. Cat's decided it's time. It's time for love again. Um, it doesn't matter if I move the stuff out of her way. She wants it now. So she needs to take up the lap and be in the places that I am. Cats are social creatures, and so she doesn't understand what it is I'm doing. She wants to be doing it with me, and then wants me to do the thing that she wants to do with her. Uh, you know, it's time. For the pets, it's time. It's a bath time. Uh, there's nothing that's more important than what the cat's doing. From Okay, I'm gonna take the shield off like I did before, and then take this shape and try to clean that up, and then I'll take that off the background. Try to clean up the background so it's separate, maybe. Um, let's see how that works. Because this really is quite the conundrum. In the dealing with the curtains on the previous shot where she was on the stage, it was less difficult because in some ways it could be a little sloppy, a little blurry, because it was going to be in the background. And I feel like with this shot being the way that it is, it's going to be pretty prominent. And so I won't be able to get away with so much as I have before. So this actually might be the biggest challenge of this project so far. Um, in that it is so front and center. Um, he did this really low shot of Peter. I'm not sure if I'm going to even save him in the shot. Um, as maybe I'll have it pan over from where he was. Although again, it's really hard. I don't have a reverse of Luna to do that. I don't think I even have a reverse of Luna in from the lounge shot. Um, so the only time that I've seen her back is there. Um, this is one of the reasons why I'm excited to have 3D models soon. Is we'll be able to have people turn around and stuff, know what their back looks like because we we developed their back specifically. So I really should be zooming in for this to make sure I get those. Yeah, that's pretty much trash what I just did there. Um, but okay, that'll be all right. Okay, so the problem with merging it that way is that it's not translucent anymore. Um, but it's all a gray screen right now. So I should have taken the floor out. Oh well. Because it's all supposed to be the same color. Also, this prop right here, this is going to be real tricky to have come up over the top like that. In fact, I might need to take it out altogether. Um, how to even get her changing back there? Um, I think what I'll do is show like limbs or something, like they'll pop up as limbs behind the screen. Okay, I kind of see how this is. I think I'm going to darken the whole thing. Um, and have it just be it's like a uh, let's say this color here. Let's mask all this down and out like that. Yeah, so just different challenges we run into uh, in working on this. Uh, that as we were working on the drawings, as we were working on the script, did not foresee, obviously. Um, but that's one of the things I really do enjoy about the creative process is that you get to run into things that you weren't expecting, and then you get to work through it. And that's what I was mentioning in the beginning of this episode in particular, is that um, is that so this olivey thing. I think let's just do this. We don't need a screen texture on it. Let me just darken the whole thing. Make it all kind of one color. And then just use it like that. And then maybe I'll add her shadow onto the screen. Maybe. Dang, this is not all the same color. I will say this about Jack's work is he does have an excellent use of color. I do enjoy the palettes that he uses, um, and how he uses them. So that has been pretty cool to witness and to work with. Um, so like this olivey color that exists here, that he is using for the screen. I do like that, um, as a color. I think what I'm just getting it up and over this thing is going to be a real pain for sure. Um, I do need to take it out either way because it's not like I'm going to use it like that. So, um, but hmm, looks like we have about an hour left uh, of work to do, so that's cool. We are getting pretty close to having all the pieces pulled out, which is also very cool. And that means that just I could just come in and just do the animation and do the a final cut in the next one. I may or may not do that live. Um, Shoot. But yeah, if you're this is again a Cognitive-based podcast for behind the scenes, so you could check out whether or not we are using artificial intelligence to do any of this work. And as I'm sure you're seeing with the length of this podcast, that is not the case. I've not once prompted anyone but myself to get this work done. Um, there's more arguments that people are putting out. The AI is just a tool, and there's different types of artificial intelligence. There is ethically trained ones, where you're, training it on your own material and stuff like that. That you're running it on your own hard drives, and not through like a data center. Um, which are actually being put up for the groups like Palantir, mass surveillance, police state. Um, it's really, and they're using up the turning places into desert with their water usage, to keep their servers cool. So again, not environmentally aware either. So that's some of the issues, with AI. But for me, it's just like the involvement in the creative process. That's the part that really, that's the part that really gets me is um, you know coming up with the solution, and working through the problem. Like that's the enjoyable part of creative work. So I don't know why I would outsource that to someone else, or to something else, to do. Uh, Machines seem to be really good at doing the same task over and over again, and maybe they should be used for doing that. Uh, since they're really good at doing the same task over and over again. Um, that's what a program is. Is that you put the like a calculator, right? Like you put the correct order of operations in, you get the right result every time. Human brains, are prone to make mistakes for meticulous little tasks like that, and so less good at that. Um, but in creative work, some of the work is what you might consider a mistake, or has a little bit of a flair to it. Like Jack's lines, for instance. The thing that's really fun about Jack's work, is that, they aren't straight lines. They are dependable lines. They are lines that give emphasis and detail to what's necessary to be understood, for sure. But they are crooked and they're wavy. They have character to them, and you know, to have something do that where it's trying to imitate that, you're going to get a very metered response to that. And I don't think that that's something crazy to say, in any stretch, because it's true. The human brain is more prone to errors than it is to correctness, and that's the stuff that's enjoyable to look at, because it imitates in a lot of ways the fractal nature, of society, of reality, is and this is more along the lines of how things are formed, in the world around us. Mountains are formed, through the erosion of, wind and rain, um, animal usage, over a long period of time, and that's what makes them unique and interesting to look at. Um, and human creative work, has the same qualities to it, and that's what makes it interesting to look at. Um, the thing about the sunset, is not that it's perfect, but it's got a bunch of little details that are all in their imperfection. When you're looking at a cloud, you're looking at a bunch of gas molecules banging into each other, you know, um, and the erratic behavior that it has. That's what's making that interesting. I don't have any edge pieces for this. I think I'm going to have to take this and mirror that. I saw that, a farmer on a very large farm, was using, um, a computer to, um, watch its crops, and it would be going along applying nutrients and pesticides to the crop individually, each member of the crop, um, as it was passing down the line. Um, it would happen within fractions of a second as it was doing that, and I was like, wow, that seems like a fantastic use of artificial intelligence. Because one of the things it pointed out was that it's individually caring for each um, each individual carrot, I think is what it was. Um, and I was just like, damn, like that's way more meticulous than a person can do with the crop. We can either right now blanket pesticide or blanket nutrients, but we can't figure out, we don't know enough about each individual plant to like care for it in that way. And so I was like, yeah, that really, I mean, if you're going to use it, if you're going to use a computer for it, that seems like a good use for it. Now, I'm not sure how much data it's harvesting and how much heat that's adding to, the world. So I can't speak to that. Um, if it's harming the environment in that way. Um, but the level of care that it was creating, for particular crops, and how it was making it possible for each individual plant to be cared for. I was like, yeah, yeah, that's definitely admirable. So let me do all this. These look right to me, so I'm gonna put all those together. Aaron and I were discussing what the next thing is that we're going to be doing while we're waiting to hear back from some of these studios. Obviously we're going to reach out and to get their attention. Shoot, I got to do this another way. But there is always, waiting for the response, waiting for the contract, waiting for the producers, waiting for all of the things. And so, we were discussing it. Um, not really sure, not really sure what we're gonna do next. It is nice to have a standing appointment to spend time with a friend. So I'm glad that we're getting to do that. Um, and it's not something that I really want to give up. So there's that to consider. But whoops. Now, why the hell would you do a thing like that, Bert? Um, and I know too for it's nice to get together with Logan and spend time with him too, as we go over the different project, different aspects of the project as those come up too. And I know that for him, like that's something that he seems to be getting a lot of enjoyment out of as well. And so uh, I don't want to I don't want to stop doing those things. Then at the same time, it's like I'm almost at the point with this episode that we're at because we've just hit the very center, the mirror um, of within the George, um, and it is actually unnecessary to move forward from that point because everything that we have created, um, that we will create has been created. Like there's not going to be anything novel past that point because everything's mirrored for the whole entire season. Actually, the rest of the season is all just the whole process is looking back at what we've created, and you know um, just wrapping it up basically. Um, and so it seems almost a moot point to me to even work on it for the sheer fact that there is there might be changes that we have to do for the people who want to buy it. There are going to be situations that we need to like rewrite or whatever, um, for the people who for whatever the production company is, as we talk about logistics and whatnot. And so it seems like a waste of energy in some ways to even continue. And the same thing that I felt with the animation, right? Like, we've gotten to the point where we're presenting the story, so it can be seen, it can be sold, and it seems a little bit pointless to move forward with the drawings when, we're not going to be doing the whole rest of the story. Um, and so, I'm kind of torn, about that. I would like to find out, sooner rather than later about the, which studio it's going to and which contract, we'll be working on and who we're going to be working with, so that we can talk about progress and what that looks like and what we want to do going forward. Um, uh, and then so that we have like a clear cut plan, or at least, overall vision of like where we're going with that. Um, so that I don't know if I've mentioned this on any of these podcasts, but I don't like wasting time. I don't like wasting energy doing things that don't have a purpose. Um, and which is funny, I guess, for a lot of people because they would, I think a lot of people would be like, well, you don't know that Cox in space is going to ever turn into anything, right? Like, um, why are you even worried about a plan and purpose? With that in mind, and I would counter argue that you can't know what a thing is until you've made it. You can't sell a thing without being able to have something to present. And so if we're gonna present something, and this is why I have worked with Aaron, why I called in actors, and we got an illustrator and we got musicians. Um, to make it. And we, in this last year, last couple of years, it's because we need to be able to show that we have a show and not just an idea of a show. And so for me, that wasn't wasted time. But like now we can show that we have a show, um, and not just the idea of a show. And so, since we've reached that goal, more or less, this right here is the final touches. I kind of wonder if it's necessary to even keep working on any other pieces of it. Um, and I'm open to understanding that I don't know everything. These are just sort of like the idea that I have conceptually for what works and what doesn't. Um, I do know that as it's going currently, we can't sustain this, without a budget, without backers and producers, without a studio. This just can't be sustained at this pace. And that's understandable. I think people understand that. Um, Now, obviously, the creator of Koala Man, who did the Big Les show for a long time, that was not their mentality. As they continued to work on the show and build the characters for, I don't know, 10, 12 years, whatever it is, that they did that before they were ever noticed by anybody. And the same thing with the Has Been Hotel. She now, granted, she knew that she was gonna be getting some attention because she had already graduated from Tisch, in New York, and had that degree. Um, but like, yeah, she was working on Has Been Hotel for for a while. I think it was a year or something before she got picked up and noticed for it, and so she built her following that way. Um, so that's one mentality, mode and mentality to approach purchase from, and possibly we need to continue on working on the show to just continue to build it piece by piece. um, it is the case that you know uh, in both of those the previous instances that I just mentioned, you know, it was one person doing all the work in both of those instances, and so they were able to do it as they were able to do it. They were able to do all the work and continue to do all the work to make it happen. And where we are is we don't have all those skills. Aaron is a comedian and comes up with lyrics and tunes. I am a writer who has stepped up to do some animation, and we hire Jack as an illustrator. We have hired Jack as an illustrator to do the work for this. So um, you know that has put a limit on what we can do, and Jack is only working like 2 hours a week, or 4 hours a week on a project, and so it just there's no getting work done in that time frame. Um, I think I was doing the math. I think it was like it would take 7 years to do one episode. Um, and which I guess that when you look at it, it's not a bad way to live to pass 7 years. But then ultimately it would take 35 years to do through episode 5. Um, and that's not even the complete story arc of where the story is trying to get to. So that's why I'm like, you know, um, I recognize that it's worth doing. It just seems like we wouldn't be able to get it to anybody in any amount of time, working how we're working now. So um, maybe that's the change. Maybe we will have to re refigure our workflow, and possibly Jack would be able to uh, put in more time per week to get these done. Um, Although it's dependent on his schedule and his availability, and I think that at most he was able to give us 4 hours, 4 hours a week. So uh, it is good to have been able to present what we've got, and I think that that it gives us something. It gives us something to start with. But yeah, if you're interested in seeing more and would like to see us do this full time, joining the crew and giving us helping us out with a monthly subscription would be the ticket to making that happen if you wanted to see this happen independent of a studio, and drawn designed in this same way. Um, so. Uh, that is a possibility, and it completely depends on the funds of our audience. So presenting the story like, hey, we've got this here. I think the last I checked, we had right before I started this podcast, I checked we had 10,000 views on our TikTok that got put out, which is awesome. That's so many more people have seen it than had seen it previously, but did not has not so far translated into cash. So because of that, there's just that's really what's holding this back right now, is just that ability to put in the time, and that time is certainly dependent on the amount of money that we're able to put into it. So um, it's just one of those things, right? Just everything has to be everything takes time, and people's time is valuable because the amount of time that you have, what you put your time to, says whether or not you'll be able to eat. you know. Um, I really do wish that we had a universal basic income where we could dedicate our time to the things that we choose to do. And the world would be a happier place for that for sure. Um, but here in America, we do not have that yet, you know, um, and so we have to do what we can to survive. So yeah, uh, it um, granted, yeah, people have done uh, their projects in their free time, and this is what you are seeing now is a project being done in free time. Uh, there's just so many people involved in uh, that, that that I believe they should be paid for their time. I don't think that that's a crazy idea that people should be compensated for their time. Um, that's just more compensation than we have currently to be able to provide. So, um, but but I believe that that time is coming, and that time's going to be coming soon. So, uh, we will get to see Cox in Space as a show, and we will get to see it soon, a year-ish or whatever from now. So we are going to be taking those pitches and knocking on doors, sending emails, directing traffic to the website so we can do it. And you can always help us out too. If you like the show and you know people, or I mean, if you know any people, you can direct them to check out Cox in Space also. But if you know anyone who can also produce a show, or connect with people who can produce a show, you can direct them towards Cox in Space as well. And that will help out the whole thing. If you believe in spreading happiness across the universe, and you see that Cox in Space is the type of show that can do that, and you believe in us as in the mission that is, you can always help us out in that way too. So we would be really appreciative, and you'll know that you're part of something that is happening with that. So. All right. Cool, guys. We have about a half hour left here. This one was tricky. I think I have it working the way that I want it to. I think maybe I'm going to add like a little gradient here so that it has that tilt to it that we want. And then I'm going to do like a pan over as I have her like walk behind that. And then we'll do like throw a dress out like that way or something. Um, as we have Richard hanging out like right here in the foreground. I think that's how this is going to work. Um, and I'll do it just on the basic like purple set, um, like this. But this will be like over here, and maybe I'll just do like a flat set like this behind it. Just extend that other one. Um, it's a cool concept for sure what Jack had, but it's definitely more difficult to pull off for this animation style. So. But yeah, I mean that's just the where we're at, and that I'm excited for people who are checking this out in the future when the show is already taken off, and you're looking back and being like, damn, they were really at that spot when they had no idea what was about to happen, and that's to me is not a bad spot to be at. It's a place that really does exist. So, um, dang, what was I even trying to do with that? And that's how all things start. That's where all beginnings are, right? Is in that place of like, well, I don't know. I mean, even babies, right? When they start, you start out this way too. Uh, is this, somebody found out they were pregnant. They didn't know what the future was going to hold for you or for them, how they were going to do it or deal with it. And they decided to go ahead anyway and see what happened. And so I see creative work like children in a lot of ways. That you don't know what's going to happen with that kid. You just show it love. You give it affection and direction. You feed it and change it as it needs to be. You kind of try to point it in the right direction, and so you can hopefully it becomes the best adult version of itself that it can, and that's what you can do. That's the best you can do. So uh, that is that it's scary for sure. I mean, for anyone who's had children, they'll tell you that that's some of the scariest shit right there. This thing that you care so much about, you just don't know, and then you worry about it. You worry about how well it's going to do, how it's going to be perceived and received. Um, you know, uh, you know, if it's going to be able to survive. Um, and uh, mostly mostly they do. So um, you know, and with varying degrees of success, they become their own things, and that's yeah, that's gonna be one of the things for me, and I think for Aaron too. As the puppy, this little guy, the Cox and Space concept grows up. It's going to be accepted by different groups of people, and it's gonna start to stand out on its own, and it's gonna be different than we originally thought and intended. And that's one of those things that we're gonna accept and continue to help it as much as we can until it's freestanding and fully grown. So um, that is the thing that it just is what it is. Uh, you know, it's just a life form that is taking on its own life. So and we love it dearly, and it will. We're going to be here for it, defending it, protecting it as it's a little one, and then eventually it will join the zeitgeist of you know human consciousness, for good or for evil. Hopefully, we don't uh, we don't become like a Pepe the Frog, you know, or whatever. That we really do want to have a very healthy fan base who loves and respects each other, and knows that they're cared for, that they have a place in the universe that is for them, and that encourages them to try to make the world better as well. So that's what we're hoping for. Although the world's a very strange and mixed up place, so uh, anything can happen really. Um, you never quite know where things are going to end up, and so Einstein was sort of abstractly, theorizing about time and space, and the nature of reality, and he died with uh, his discovery being used to be destructive, and that's that's something that has made me pause, for sure, in the the in considering making things and being a part of the world, because you never do know. You never get to decide how the world takes and uses your thing. So it becomes something greater than you could ever want it to be. Um, I mean, Einstein also died not knowing if some of his theories were even correct. I mean, he speculated on a God particle, that wasn't even discovered until I think a few years ago. Um, so like the completeness of an idea sometimes takes long beyond your own lifetime. So I mean, the original creators of Doctor Who, for instance, I don't think that they got to see. I might be wrong about that, but I don't think that they got to see the resurgence and the fan base that it has had either. Uh, so um, that's just an example. I mean, George Lucas has gotten to see his thing get taken away from him. No one sold. It's not like they took off with it, but um, you know, he doesn't have creative control over his ideas anymore. Um, I think that there was some he was mentioning, and maybe he can't anymore, um, because he's been silenced by the mouse or whatever. But he was mentioning that he had different thoughts about how the third trilogy should go, and they took his input, but they didn't necessarily use it. And how interesting that is for him, that here he is, he made a cultural icon, an American cultural icon, definitely groundbreaking in terms of um, special effects, and I mean, it can't be discounted, the effect that Star Wars has had on sci-fi and the popularity in nerd culture at all. I mean, there are common expressions in English, as English anachronism, English. I don't know the word I'm trying to use there. That's interesting. Colloquialism, I think, is the word I'm looking for, and actually across the world. I mean, that came from Star Wars. The idea of a universal force is not his, per se, but the idea of the force, or the word Jedi, for instance, or the use of the word droid. These are all things that you can recognize, like that he had a lot of influence on, and you know, and now he doesn't. So it's just, um, it it is interesting how the children grow up and how they become their own things. Um, this is probably being used in a documentary somewhere in the future, like the wild musings for our podcast. Uh, while working on the Coxa space behind the scenes. So uh, it is what it is all I'm saying. I'm excited to see where this goes and where it ultimately ends up. But what that is, and how it is and what it becomes, uh, who knows? Who knows? We'll have to see what all that becomes. I'm gonna drop a quick gradient on here. Hopefully it doesn't look too stupid. Just to get some of those angles right, because I think that there's a main light right here, and then we'll do it like these guys, just to give it a little something more so it's less flat. I really like what Jack had as far as like the lines across it, but as you can see, they were just all mixed up with each other. So I couldn't use that. But let's see what we can do with these guys. Yeah, something like that. Let's do a little bit like
let's feather that just a little bit. And then let's apply this gradient. This. And then we're going to put on a new layer too, so that that does its own thing. And then let's see, something like, it's not quite what I was looking for. Something like more like, maybe it's something that's like that. Mm, I think that I want it to be clear on the end. Almost got it all. There we go. Yeah, like that ish. And then kind of like that. Kind of like that. Okay. All right, we're gonna do this here. Um, let's do the same thing there, like that. Just so it has a little thing. That's not quite the way. That's not quite the way either. And then we need it to be, it's almost right. It's cutting back right now. I need to go forward. Hey, cutie pie. Yeah, it is almost time, isn't it? Like I need this part to be bright, and I need these parts to be dark. Although that's not quite right. You know, I think that, I think I need these to be the other way. Like I need this to go from light to dark. Instead, like this way. Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking for. And then, yeah, I don't know if you have noticed, I'm not real good. I'm not real good at art. So I I gotta experiment quite a bit to get the thing that I want. And then, I'm not exactly always 100% sure what it is that I need to get, you know? Um, and that's just I don't have a whole lot of practice doing this stuff. I spent so much time working on building characters and you know the force inside of the forces inside of a plot that focusing on the artistic skill is not something that I did. I know that I definitely I've wanted to, like this is definitely something that I enjoy. As you see that I've spent, the time to do the animation and to reshape these things um, to be what I want. But keep this one in the center. But that's it's been more of a passing interest for me. Because you can't spend like you can only study what you can study. You know what I mean? Like you can only there's only so much time that I've had on this earth to be able to do things, and so I put it towards the things that um, were the most important to me, that were interesting me at the time. And so um, because of that, I haven't put it into other things, and that's just the nature of reality. That's what it is. Maybe I'll just do a gradient from the bottom like that. There's only so much you can do with the time you have, is what I'm saying. So, nothing is really wasted time unless you're doing nothing. Um, Although even then, I mean, who am I to say that the purpose what the purpose of your life is? Um, what is wasted time in your life? You're free to use it however you want to. I think what I'm gonna do is erase this one, just completely erase it, and start again with it. I mean, some people, they'll say, you know, that having kids that took away, whatever their life was from them. Maybe that was a waste, maybe it wasn't. Um, some people will say, if you don't read, enough, blah blah blah, that's a waste. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Um, but I mean, honestly, whatever you choose to do uh, in this life, and um, as long as you're not hurting anybody with your actions, I think I'm gonna use it like that. That looks fine. Yeah, I like that. Um, if you're doing things to put more joy into the world, I think that's not a waste. Or to experience the joy of the world, I don't think that that's a waste. I went for a hike today. It didn't accomplish anything except for getting outside. I get to see nature. Um, that I couldn't say that that's wasted time. We encourage people to, watch Cox in Space. That's what we're trying to do, is encourage people to watch Cox in Space, as a show, and 23 minutes per episode. We hope that people will take the time to do that, and that's not a waste. En- Enjoying other people's art. But yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. I think that we're gonna use that. I'll create like this basic set off of this drawing. Actually, it'll probably be in connection with this other one that I did. And then I'll use these two characters, and then put Richard, like this Richard in particular, in the foreground of this thing here, and have it kind of like panning, and then have her um, in this mode, walk behind it and talk about it. Maybe throw this dress. So I might need to pull that piece out, and then have this character come out the other side. Um, so so we'll see. It looks like I'm going to be doing the animation in the next episode, which is cool. And we'll get all that all taken care of. So yeah, I feel really good about what we were able to do today, and I thank you for so much for tuning in to watch that happen. If you want to see the full result, go take a look at coxinspace.com. We are going to post the full result up there, and then like, comment, share on all the socials where you've been seeing those videos pop up. And we will catch you in the next one. I'm Skip Morazzi, your host and friend. This is the Behind the Scenes podcast for Cox in Space. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you soon.